Welcome. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, welcome. Hello, welcome, Councillor Sam Collins. Welcome, Councillor Elizabeth Dennis Harburg. Welcome, Sam North. Welcome, Val Bryant. Welcome, Davina from Hertfordshire Black Diaspora. Welcome, Councillor Carol Steiner. Hoping I'm pronouncing names correctly.
Stania, it's all right.
Stania. Is it Stania?
Stania, yeah, it's no problem though.
Okay. Right, we're just waiting for one person waiting. Okay, we're just waiting for Tina, our Labour representative, to come in. For Young Labour.
Hiya.
Welcome, Tina. Thank you so much for coming. Just seeing if there's anyone else waiting. Okay. Davina, are you there? Is she there?
Can't see her.
Can't see her. I'm just going to wait for Hertfordshire Black Diaspora to join us. We've got Tom Plater joining us. Welcome, Tom Plater. Welcome.
Hiya.
We're just waiting for a few more to join us. Okay, we've got Mayor Terry Douris, I think it's pronounced, joining us. Welcome, Mayor Terry Douris. Dorrel, I think it might be French. Here we have Helen Oliver joining us. Welcome. And we have finally Hertfordshire Diaspora joining us. Welcome, Helen Oliver, Councillor Helen Oliver.
Oh. Yes, please, love.
Welcome, Mayor Terry Dorrel. Please correct me on your names if I'm saying it incorrectly.
No, it's okay.
Is it pronounced Dorrel or Douris?
No, it's Douris.
Douris, Councillor
Yep.
Terry Douris. Welcome. Seeing if we've got anyone else online. Waiting. Okay. Right, I think we'll just admit people as they come in. Welcome everyone. This is the first meeting of Black Voice Hertfordshire. This is a meeting to give a platform for the Black Voice of Hertfordshire to in front of leaders like yourself. This specific meeting today, we're gathering today to talk specifically about the injection of Black leadership within our communities and how we campaign for that more aggressively to make that come into existence. So today we hope that we manifest an action and a campaign, something that we're doing together to facilitate that together. So I'm going to just allow everyone to kind of say a bit about themselves and who they are, so everyone feels like they've been introduced. My name's Cllr. I'll start off. I am the founder of Black Voice Letchworth, and we are presently campaigning to open the UK's first Black History Museum, Library and School of Cultural and Creative Arts. And I will pass the mic over to Davina from Hertfordshire Diaspora.
Hello everyone, so I'm Davina from Hertfordshire Black Diaspora, and we are currently working on creating a central hub for the Black community to help provide education, community, social and youth events.
And who would like to go next? Tina, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. So my name's Tina Bartwas. I'm the BAME officer of the local Labour Party in North East Hertfordshire, and I'm also quite heavily involved in the local charity sector.
Welcome, Tina. Should we go to Carol?
Sure. So I am a district councillor. I'm also a town councillor in Royston. So obviously not really strictly linked with Letchworth, but obviously the district aspect is everywhere. I specifically got a project going on in Royston, which I think I emailed you about. Maybe if you've got some time later, we can talk about it, just about trying to get more inclusivity into the town council and the activities. And yeah, I mean, that's specifically why I'm here tonight, but I'm very interested to find out what you're doing as well. So.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Carol, for coming. Should we go to Tom? Tom Plater?
Yeah, hiya.
Hiya.
So I'm Tom and I'm the secretary of the North East Hertfordshire Constituency Labour Party.
Welcome. And Val Bryant? Councillor Val Bryant?
Okay, I'm Councillor Val Bryant. I'm councillor for Beaton Ward in Hitchin. I'm the secretary of the North Herts Labour Group, and I'm here to see what you're doing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. Councillor Sam North? Oh, you've gone silent. Is Zoom doing its funny thing again? No. Should we come back to you, Sam? Should we go over to Councillor Sam Collins?
Hello, I'm Sam Collins, and I'm a councillor.
Wonderful. Councillor Helen Oliver?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm a district councillor as well for Letchworth Grange Ward, and I was really pleased to be invited this evening after Michaela, you'd come to not one but two of our surgeries, and you'd put me at my ease that I would not be gate crashing space that wasn't for me, but that actually turning up with a listening brief was a helpful thing to do. So thank you. And sat next to me is
Yupika, I think we've met before.
Yes. My husband.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, welcome. You're both welcome very much. Councillor Elizabeth Dennis, Harburg.
Hello, yes, I'm Elizabeth. I'm the executive member for my sins for recycling and waste at North Herts. I also work for the Financial Ombudsman Service, and very much like Helen, I'm here mainly with a listening brief, and I'm very keen to sort of hear and understand what the issues are.
Welcome, Elizabeth. Thank you for coming. Should we go back to Sam again? Is he logged out and go and log back in? Oh,
yeah, I think you might need to let him in.
Yeah. It's got some people joining. We've got Dorrel Haynes. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Just thought I'd join your meeting to get some idea of what you're about.
Oh, welcome. Dorrel, is that Dorrel?
That's right.
Lovely. Welcome. I just want to hear from, sorry, Dorrel. We're just going to hear from Sam.
That's fine.
One of the councillors. I think he was having some problems with his mic.
Did you mean me? I think sometimes
yes.
my Zoom does that for some reason. So I'm Sam North, District Councillor I represent Ickleford and Holwell, which is just north of Hitchin. And I've only been a councillor for the last year and a half. So hello, everyone.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for coming, Sam. Right, so have we done all the counts? Victor.
Hello.
Victor, welcome. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Councillor Victor Eni. I'm from Hasme Borough Council. I'm also town councillor for Hertfordshire and Bournemouth and former mayor of Hertfordshire and Bournemouth. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome.
I think we haven't heard from Mayor and Councillor Terry. I can't see your last name. I'm sorry, Terry.
Yes, please, can we? Yes, here.
That's okay. I'm Councillor Terry Douris. I'm the Mayor of Decorum, which embraces Hemel Hempstead, Berkhamsted and Tring. And I'm here just to listen, but I may have to dip out because I've got a couple of other things that are running at the same time. So forgive me if I do.
That's fine. We're grateful to have you here. Thank you so much for coming. And who else haven't we heard from? Is there anyone else I've gotten?
I think that's all the councillors, yeah.
That's all the councillors, okay. Right, so are there any non-councillors, people from the community, business owners that are here with us today that would like to introduce themselves?
This is Dorrel. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Dorrel.
I'm not a councillor, but I'm involved in running a pension and carers luncheon club in Hitchin.
Okay. Yeah.
And that is what I do.
Wonderful.
So I wanted to join today to observe and to listen to all these people to see what it is that they're saying, basically.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for coming. You're welcome.
All right.
Anyone else? Right, so I'll just put it to the team, BVL team now, to introduce themselves. So I'll start off with Amy MacDonald.
I'm Amy and I am the marketing director for Voice Letchworth.
And we'll move on to Jonathan Clark.
Yes, I'm in charge of the health and safety and IT techie side. I'm also Michaela's husband.
Okay. And we'll move on to Kate Roberts.
Muted myself to talk. I'm Kate Roberts and I'm volunteering with BVL, working on fundraising, and I'm also taking the minutes for tonight.
And is there anyone else? No one else today. Davina, you want to say a bit more about? You said a bit already, haven't you?
Sorry?
You said about you said about Hertfordshire. You've explained about Hertfordshire Diaspora already, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I just thought I'd go through a few bits before we start. Just to clarify, this is the Black Voice Hertfordshire meeting. The purpose of this meeting will be to develop positive relationships, initiatives to enable action, guide youth into leadership, and also to provide a platform for the Black Voice of Hertfordshire to talk with their leaders within the community to advocate for change. The order of the meeting, we'll start off with introductions, which we've done, the purpose of the meeting, which I've just stipulated, and the actions of each meeting. We hope that we will highlight the issues, bring together solution, create action, and then initiate follow-up. Just a few things to remember. Just a reminder that all participants will be muted when someone else is speaking. If you have any questions, please post in the chat box or raise your hand on Zoom, the Zoom hand. We will try to get round to all the questions. Please be please use specific language to the Black community. And if you could refrain from using language such as BAME, BME, diverse, as we want to ensure the productivity to focus on the Black community. Our aims are to work with appointed leaders and to provide a platform for the Black voice. By the end of this meeting, we want to be able to be in a position to devise a campaign to aid the placement of Black leaders. Yes, and our examples at the moment that we wish to put to you, one of them is we hope to, with partnerships with the schools, with leaders, create debate teams, local and national, and our MPs, councillors giving rewards like a day to Parliament or apprenticeships, spending a day with a councillor or a week, just to learn about how things are done. But I'll let you guys deal with that, because I want this to be like a collaboration with what your thoughts are on these things also. So right, let's begin. Is there anyone that would like to kick off? Right, should we start with the issues within the counties that we found with getting Black people into leadership, and why that hasn't happened now? Should I pose that question to everybody? Why they think it may, what may be the issues that may be blocking Black people from, entering and venturing into leadership within community, if any, if you think there are any. Feel free to contribute.
I think, Michaela, I've put my hand up. I don't know what the
okay.
process is, but
yes,
I think if I may have a little start. I think leadership is a very, very broad term and covers sort of so many different elements of what makes up society. And a leader can be anything from someone who is sort of the CEO of an organisation or leader of a local council, all the way through to someone who decides to help someone cross the road. And I think that what we're perhaps talking about here is how we involve and include Black people in the leadership roles that are more sort of leaders in society in terms of their positions, such as leaders of the council and councillors and things like that. I think, speaking from the council perspective purely, I think that from my perspective, a lot of the things that put people off are similar to what put people off in general, in that council is quite a boring thing. It's seen as a very administration heavy sort of element of society. It's something that not many people want to get involved with, because inherently it's sort of mostly older white men who are retired that get involved in it. And I think when you don't see anyone sort of who is the same as you involved in those things, then naturally that sort of tends to slightly push you away from what you may want to do and what you think your ambitions are. I spoke to my partner, who's an Indian female, and asked her about some of the progress that she's been making in terms of job applications. I'm sure she won't mind me mentioning, but because I'd noticed that she seemed to be applying for jobs that weren't sort of at the level of seniority that she should be at the moment. And she said that she just didn't feel comfortable applying for those jobs because she didn't think that she'd be able to get them. And I think that sort of transpires into council roles as well. I think that work, and again, I can't speak for all political parties, but I know that there is work being done in the Lib Dems, and I'm sure in other political parties, to try to involve more people I think the difficulty is that when the system has been in the form that it has been for so long, how do you prove to members of the community who aren't the typical older white male that actually things are different and you will be welcomed? I think we've seen some things recently at the district council level that have sort of proven that there are still issues, significant issues with regard to understanding of sort of different races and equality as well. And I think that needs to really be tackled and highlighted. That sort of from the council perspective, I think that business as well, clearly people are given less opportunity from black backgrounds. I mean, I've seen firsthand little point of interest. I was a police officer in Thames Valley Police. And the reason why I left the police was because I believed that they were systemically racist, having seen what they did to not only sort of suspects, as they would call them, but also people within the police as well. So I think that there's a lot of elements to the issues, and it clearly isn't a simple answer of what we would be able to do, but I think it's about ensuring that we put that message forward that we are actually trying. But I think also the other thing is it's not good enough just to try. We actually have to get really good results from the direction that we are trying to head. So I don't want to talk for too long. I don't want to.
No, it's great. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Sam. I'm just going to move over to Tina.
Carol,
you had
Dana also had her hand up as well.
Okay.
Okay. I think if you want to go to Tina, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay. So, okay, we'll have Carol first. Sorry, Carol. Yes, Tina.
Me.
Yes, Tina. Yes.
Okay. So there's a couple of things I want to raise, and I think that what Sam said about representation is a really big thing because it very much feels like an endless cycle. And personally, you know, as an Asian woman involved in politics, that's something that I've found. I think a lot of it's to do with the culture of organisations as well. So part of what I do in the charity sector is try to get local organisations into a place where, you know, they will be, once they recruit people, they will be supportive of them. And I think that that's something that doesn't really happen in politics. And then again, with both the representation and the culture, because you don't have people from that community in those positions, it can be very hard to just have one or two people fighting for something and it's not a general priority, when, you know, we all know and agree that it really, really should be. And I think that we should also
sorry, Tina, can I pause you there? I do apologise, but there is someone that has a mic on, and I was wondering if they could kindly just pop it on mute so we can hear Tina. You might not be aware. I'm just gonna.
It's sorted, I think. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tina. Please carry on. I do apologise.
No worries. Yeah. I think the other thing to raise here is intersectionality. I think that's quite important when looking at representation as well. And that's really just all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Tina. That's great. Carol.
Sorry, I lost my mouse there. I think part of what I was going to say was actually Sam's already dealt with, but I think the thing about seeing people in those positions yourself, and then it is an important thing, isn't it? And I think when I go as a politician to knock on a door and would you like to join the party, would you like to get into potentially becoming a candidate for the party, if they see a white female, then they think, oh, women are okay, you know, that's fine. But will they think it, you know, I don't know, you know, if you don't see someone who looks like you know, not in terms of physically, but just is that my sort of person? And I think we can't rely on the political parties to do that, though. I feel quite, I mean, obviously there are things going on, as we know, in various parties, but I mean, the reason that I'm here primarily is because I had a very horrible conversation actually at our town council meeting, and you know, we were basically told, well, if you want the town council to be more diverse, go and find some more diverse candidates, and I thought, well, you know, so why is it up to me to go and find, you know, any, you know, it should be up to those people to come forward, but obviously they don't feel like they want to because there's an obstacle in the way. So in terms of my story, how I became a councillor, one of the things that happened before I became a councillor, I was campaigning. I applied for a grant from my party to help me have some funds to do that. It was aimed at minority groups. I thought, well, that's minority groups in politics, and apparently I was eligible to apply because I'm female. I actually heard that this year women are no longer eligible to apply. And I thought, brilliant. But I mean, if we've only just got to the stage where women are considered not to be a minority in politics, then there's so many other obstacles to overcome, I think. So I think we need those kind of positive actions, and that's why I think what you were saying about getting people, sort of young people shadowing and things like that, I think that's really important, because it shows that, you know, then people will realise that's something they could do. I think that's a really positive thing to be looking to do, and you know, what we can do to facilitate that. I think we should be, you know, we should work together on that.
Yeah, I definitely. I think when I've spoken to different councillors, they have said they've sent out the emails, have done the lovely posters, and they don't get back as many response from the schools. I would like to encourage you all, us all, to come together by something where we actually go into the school and we work with the school quite closely in making politics cool. You know, let's see young people going out there doing stuff that's cool. It's cool to love your community and care about you, so that they feel connected to their community. If they're connected to community, then they will feel connected to the wider politics of this country. Because at the moment, I do believe that there's kind of an us and them between women in politics, having and have nots in politics, between black and white with politics. There's this barrier. As I've grown to know that everybody is politics, you know, and I think the format of that, on how we how it's been done before, I know for me it's not been very it's not been in the correct format that I would engage. So with the Black community, I do believe that it has to be given in the correct format, and if we get the right format for that, that's how we engage the community. And it really is, it's really it's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna cost like a lot of money, really, if I want to. Just sending out a few emails and actually just, you know, saying, do you have any young bright young people coming and for a day, you know, hanging out with Councillor Sam Collins maybe, and seeing what he does. That would be nice. You know, and then, you know, having the paper do a piece on it, and then having more people see that, and then the child can then say, wow, I didn't know councillors, you know, can do this and they do that, that's really cool. And then things like that, and they tell their friends, we did this, we did that. It wasn't just all paperwork and emails. And what you guys do is cool. I never used to think so until I actually befriended councillors and I saw what they were doing, actually going out there and grafting. I thought there were people that were stuck in an office with ties and very posh and didn't do much. And when I saw like people in my community, I'm not alluding to you, Helen, when I saw people in my community actually going out there, you know, she had cool hair, she was female, she talked, she, you know, she was obviously, you know, lovely spoken, but she was just, to me, in my whatever normal is, she was just very approachable. That's the word I'm trying to say. She's very approachable. And I was like, and she said, on top of all that, she was a counsellor on this. I'm like, wow, you don't have to wear a suit. You don't have to go to Eton. You don't have to, you know, and I think these are preconceptions that people have. How do we break those barriers? Victor, he's gone. Victor, Sam, Val, anyone? How do you think we can break those barriers with the Black community? Oh, Elizabeth, yes.
Oh gosh, no. I was actually going to sort of build on the points that both Tina and Carol had made, and then you picked up on and expressed brilliantly. A while ago, I spoke to BBC Three Counties about being a younger person in politics, but more than that, also being a younger woman involved in politics. And one of the issues for me is sort of always in my life, I've had these internal barriers. You can't do this because you're too short. You can't do this because you're a woman. You can't do this because you're from the north. This is your cultural background. This is your heritage. So you're never going to amount to it. And as soon the moment that I realized that all of those things, they weren't coming from outside. That wasn't what society was putting on me. That was what I was actually putting on myself. I was then able to start to own the issue and to get over it and to challenge myself and step out of those sort of negative thought cycles and sort of break it down and push through it. And once you realize that actually it's irrelevant what your age is, it's irrelevant what your gender is. If you want that thing, if you know that you're good for that job, for that position, and you can make a difference in your community, then you go for it and you will succeed. And that's kind of what drives me and what pushes me forward in everything that I do. And I think actually it's really quite sad that this year we've had to sort of cancel the Democracy Week that we were going to run at the council because there wasn't sufficient uptake from schools. Obviously, that's for very, very legitimate reasons, given that we're in the middle of the pandemic. But the local North Herts, at North Herts, we have Democracy Week. We try and run it. And sort of I was going to be involved with some projects. Sam Collins was going to do some work as well. And I think Sam was specifically going to try and draw out some of the Black issues and how we get more diversity at council level, because across the country, councillors are what? If you think of a councillor, what do you think of? It's an older white man.
Yeah.
And that is such a turn off for so many people. And is there any wonder?
I think I only found
barriers
when I was searching, I think I only found, well, I found Victor, which I was, you know, I stumbled upon Victor, and I found Sam, and I found another guy in Hastings, and I thought,
yeah,
wow, this is bad.
Yeah, and those are the exceptions. So it's like, it is very much, if we don't see those role models, it's harder for us to break the barriers down. And it takes a very strong person to get over those internal hurdles that we all create for ourselves. I think initiatives like Democracy Week are brilliant, but we need the uptake and the interest from the traditional audiences. But if the traditional audience ain't interested, then we need to find the relevant audience. And I think that's the challenge for those of us in power in this room at the moment. And that's something that I think councillors can take away, and maybe sort of Sam and I can try and have a conversation with Judy Billing and community engagement and see what we can do to drive this forward locally.
Yeah, do you think this week, parliamentary week, which is a brilliant thing at the council doing next year, to talk about, you know, in politics, do you think that week is enough? 1 week out of the year to engage? Does there need to be an ongoing thing in the year, do you think? Sam? Yes, Sam?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, there's lots of hands. Sorry.
It's not just 1 week. There's Democracy Week and Parliament Week, which strangely are not the same week. Democracy Week has happened. I did do some work with some of the local schools in that, and they had some really good points, which I need to sit down and write up. But yeah, they were feeling that, for example, Black history really isn't taught in our schools. And when it is taught, it's all American Black history, which is not quite what we want to see, but it's not wrong. It's just perhaps we need to add to that a little bit. But I think it's a shame that the North Arts Democracy Week stuff couldn't happen this year, because I think some of the stuff that was lined up would be great. I think the biggest issue is COVID, actually, with that, and I can see why it got cancelled. But I think it is something that we as a council need to strive to do more work with those school kids and young people, because that's where the interest begins. No one did it when I was at school, so I wish they did it, in all schools, mandatory, actually.
Would anyone be, let me get the questions in first, because there's lots coming in. Let's get Victor, because he hasn't spoken yet. Victor, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I think there's some misconception or misunderstanding about the whole thing.
Okay.
We have to start from grassroots, if you ask me. In the town council here, we have what is called a youth council. And we give them budget to manage their budget and suggest things to do and get involved in the community. And also we write to schools to encourage their students to be part of the youth councils from the age of 11 to 19 or 18 when you leave for university. And they have a meeting monthly to, they have the agenda, but we as councillors are appointed to support them and to help fight on their behalf in terms of what they want to do to convince our colleagues to support them. And this year we're talking about having a youth mayor, just to, raise the profile up a bit. And the issue now is the uptake. The young ones or parents are not encouraging their children to be part of it. So we had in mind that this year we drive for membership, which we did, but still we are still struggling with numbers. So in terms of the youth mayor, we've deferred it till next year because of the coronavirus and all those things. So what I'm trying to say here is in Bournemouth and Hertfordshire here, we've written to schools and we keep on doing that to encourage their students to join. The meetings is once a month, and it's very, very good for their CV, for their leadership training in terms of going to school and writing their statement before going to university. We provide those support for them. And if there's anyone that wants to do spend a week or two in the council offices, we do encourage that and make provision for that. So it's a long-term project, but we as parents and adults has to get involved and encourage them. And also, you mentioned about being councillors and all those things. It's not a day's job. I could remember I started by joining local organizations. I became a school governor. I joined the Neighborhood Watch. I'm a committee member, and other organizations, just to show them that I can be part of the community and I can be a politician and a good politician. So, and I joined a political party and I went for selection interviews and all those things. As I said, it's a long-term project. I could remember I lost 2 elections before I got elected. And many people will be discouraged when they lost the first one. So it's persistence, resilience, and to show that you really want to be part of this, not that you want to be there or, somebody has to give it to you. You fight for it. And if you fight for it and win it, you'll be happy with yourself that, you grafted for it and achieve what you want to achieve. So it's a very long-term project. So it's good that you started this, but we have to encourage parents to encourage their children. Out there, nothing.
How we do that?
Sorry?
You have any ideas on how we get the parents involved?
Yeah, parents make time to drive them to the town council meeting and pick them up, remind them to go to the town council meetings and all those things, and get them involved in things happening around, even if it means scouts, if it means anything for the youth. Get them involved. When the town is doing something, get them involved so they know the town, they know the people there, and they know them to know what they can do, the ability, of their social involvement. So those things is what you have to look into. I have 2 younger children. They were both in the town council to the vice chair position and chair position. and they've moved on now to university, but they have the taste of what it means to be in council meetings, to decide, to make decisions, to debate. So if we catch them so early, that will help us going forward when they become adults, so they can be part of it. We even involve them in the full council meetings to go for them to attend to see what we're doing, and encourage them to attend committee meetings to see what they're doing. So just to get them used to it. It's very daunting that at maybe 20 or 30, you come into a room full of retired old white men and women, and you are the only black there. But if you have been part of the system all this time, you find out that you can fit in easily than, if just started the other day. So we have to start early. We have to have long-term planning and work with it.
This sounds amazing, Victor. Does this go through all the way through Hertfordshire, what you've just described?
I don't know about other places, but I know like London councils, they have a youth council too, and youth mayors, and up north. I don't know about other part of Hertfordshire.
Would anyone like that he had a couple of pros? Sam North, did you want to say something? Oh, sorry, I thought you had your hand up there. Sorry, Sam Collins, do you elaborate on the programs that you had to get youth into politics and leadership?
Yeah, I mean, there's some schemes that already exist. I know the North Hertfordshire one, so there is the youth council of sorts, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on with the school kids across the North Herts district. They have regular events. I think they could be better attended, but I think that's possibly because the councils and members.
When you say event, what?
I think they have at least weekly. It's almost like additional lesson that they do, and it's done across different schools. So they get pupils from different schools to come together, and they sit together and do their thing and discuss it. And it's student led, so they discuss what to talk about. So they wanted to talk to me about basically what we're talking about tonight. So that was quite enlightening. I think they talk about lots of other issues, but I think they need more involvement from the councils, and I think they need more involvement from political parties in general. I've seen what goes on in some other parts of Hertfordshire. I know Harpenden very well, and they're a lot more engaged down there than we are in North Hertfordshire. So I think we've got a little way to go to raise that standard. But having done parliamentary hustings, I did one at the primary school in Hitchin. There's a lot of youth engagement in politics. It's just we're not really managing to filter that through to council level. So we sort of need to capture that a bit better. And quite how we do that, that's still a matter of debate and discussion.
Okay, so we want to get past debate and discussion and turn it into action, because from what I've spoken to, many people of many ages who've been in politics for various years have said that they've been debating about this for many years, and they could remember when they were in early politics having the same debate. So I'm hoping for us coming together, we can get past the debate and discussion and turn into action, because we actually want these things to manifest. Because we don't want another generation to. Oh, Helen, hi. Sorry.
No, not at all. I literally just put my hand up then.
Okay.
Like you spotted me immediately.
Yeah.
Gllr and I went into, we tried to go into lots of local secondary schools a few years ago, and we actually only managed to get invited into one school, sixth form. We weren't there with the specific aim of engaging young people in the wider political process, but we were there encouraging young people to vote, because obviously in previous elections younger voters have been underrepresented. And what was difficult for us was we were doing it as Labour councillors, and the school were really nervous about letting us in, because we didn't also have a yellow one and a blue one, possibly a green one with us. But we didn't really have an easy platform with which to regularly round up one of each colour on this occasion, I mean of rosette, of councillor to take with us into the schools. So they felt like they weren't being impartial if they only took up an offer from people who were trying to go into the schools, even though actually we were the ones trying to go into the school, and we were genuinely trying to talk about why young people needed to vote. We were not there to bang our party political drum.
But Helen, to jump in on that, did you ask the yellow team, the blue team, and maybe even the green team to come and join you?
I think I did actually, Sam, but it was a Letchworth thing, so I didn't ask you. Sorry, Aldine.
Sorry, Victor.
Yeah, if I may
yes.
come in there, what do we do here? We in that circumstances, we ask the mayor to go to the schools to talk to them about politics, about voting. In that case, it's neutral. Nobody is now looking at blue, green, yellow, or pink. Is that the mayor is coming to school to talk to the children about politics, and we tend to have a good reception. The uptake now is another thing completely, and you can go to school to talk about other things besides politics, in terms of what you're doing in the community, or what we normally have a 2-week town festival in Boranwood here in May. So those are opportunities to go to school, to talk to them, to come to those things. Then they may see the mayor, they may see other councillors, but going with your rosette and all those things, most schools want to be impartial. They will not allow you to come in there. So that's the way we do it here in Hertfordshire and Boranwood. Yeah, thank you.
So mayors are supposed to be neutral then? They're not supposed to have...
Once you're elected a mayor, you're serving the whole community. You're neutral. You don't decide on any or support any political party openly. So they are seen as being neutral, serving the community.
So we've got Sam North has had his hand up a while, and then Tina Bartos wanted to say something as well.
Okay.
I think just Carol, I think, had her hand up first. I'm happy for her to go, and then I'll go after
Sorry, Carol.
Yeah.
I'll be disrupting the order that's on the chat. I don't want to. I was just going to say though, but following on from what Victor said, so from the town council perspective, I think yes, the mayor going in is a good way of doing it. We actually have a scheme like that in our town council where we have one town councillor, one district, and one county councillor, and we try and mix them up so they are different badge colours for Helen, so that I've sat in there, but it's mostly primary schools, which I feel is, I mean, it's important to do that, but I think from the perspective of engaging people in politics and the political system is probably too early. I mean, you need to do it as well. We also have a youth council we're starting up, but again, it's the getting people to stand for it, which is really tricky. Yeah,
it's very challenging.
Yeah, so that's at town council level. So I don't know whether I mean, obviously that's the areas where you have town or parish councils. I know that Hitchin and Letchworth don't really have that, so that's maybe something. I mean, obviously we
have though in Hitchin and Letchworth that's like a mayor. Who do we have? No,
you don't really have a mayor if you don't have the town or parish council. I mean, you have the chair of the district council, who could perhaps be more involved in those aspects. I don't know. Yeah.
Val, yes, Val.
We have the chair of the committees, the town committees.
It's not the same thing, Val.
It's the nearest we've got.
That's just a councillor. It's not the same.
Got.
They're not neutral.
Oh, they're not.
Chair of the committee.
Situation you're talking about in this situation, I think maybe councillors neutral because they're actually looking to the good of the town.
Yeah, they should be neutral. I mean, committee meetings and all those things, but chairman of parish and all those things, no matter they haven't got the chain, but in most cases they are neutral. They represent the whole community.
This is very interesting, but can we go now to Sam North and then to Tina, and then we can come back to some of this if continued discussion is needed.
Yes, thank you, Kate. Sam.
Thank you. So I went to school in Lewisham, and Lewisham had a young mayor's scheme, and I think there were two parts of this that I wanted to talk about. I think clearly there is and has been so far a focus tonight on younger people, but I do think that there is a lot of work that we need to be doing for older Black people as well, and getting them into the political spectrum and helping them to empower them into making decisions for society. But I think that something that really did work as within Lewisham specifically in that scheme was that it actually firstly empowered young people to actually make decisions that mattered, and secondly it had an impact on their futures, personal futures. I think that so often people go into schools and make speeches, and when you're sort of 14, 15, you couldn't care less who this person was coming into your school making a speech, and if you could get out of it, you would. I think if you are able to empower those people to actually say, right, we have issues with potholes, let's have a debate about how we sort out these potholes, and your ideas will be taken forward to council to actually deal with the issue of potholes. And I think that sort of empowerment helps, but also put that in conjunction with on your university application, on your CV, on your whatever, you were a young mayor or a young councillor in an area. And these sorts of things are things that actually draw kids in, because it actually has a real impact on their personal future, but it does have that secondary benefit of actually getting them involved. And I did just want to, I don't want to sort of start any debates at all, but I just wanted to come back on something that Elizabeth Dennis-Harburg said earlier, which was about the internal barriers that people face. And I think that is an absolutely valid point, incredibly important that that is raised. But I do think that in the case of Black people in this country, to quote one of my favourite role models in Stormzy, I do believe that this country is institutionally racist. And I do believe that there are very real barriers that prevent Black people from getting into positions because of the systemic issues that the country has. So I think from what I would say is we have to, as current councillors and current leaders, all of us have a responsibility to actually do things to remove those barriers. And it's not just about having meetings and discussing these things, which is fantastic because it allows us to understand and come to some consensus, but it's about us actually making sure that we act on those things. And secondly, I do think that having something like that Lewisham model, where actually you are empowering people by giving them something that will help them with their personal futures as well as helping the community. But I do also want to, at some point, it might be in a future meeting, just talk about how we involve older people as well, because there is quite often a focus on younger people. And I think we should also talk about
Absolutely. I definitely, personally for me, I know of people in my community in Letchworth that I would vote for today. And why aren't you in politics? Oh, they don't want to hear from me. They don't want to hear from me. I said, why don't you want to hear? I've tried all this stuff. I've tried, you know what it's like. And I know what that means. You know what it's like means what you've just described. So and then they follow up with, oh, that's for you young'uns. That's for you young'uns now. We've done it all. We're too tired. We're too tired. And you sit and you talk to these people and they're full of wisdom. They're full of ideas. If we just listen to our elders more, I think this world will just be a little bit better. Yeah, I'm way on board with that. Sorry, Carol.
We're going to Tina next, and then
Tina.
Carol, I'll put you down to speak after Tina. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. I think a lot of it is about like the institutions that are in place expect people to come forward rather than going to them, and I think that that's really problematic. I also want to agree with what Elizabeth said about internal barriers, but there are plenty of external ones as well. And as someone who's, you know, involved in politics, I've been a Labour Party candidate. That was something I was doing in my last year of A-levels, and I'm also a trustee at the North Herts Centre for Voluntary Service. There are there are loads of barriers, whether that's within your political party, and that is all of them, or, you know, externally, kind of what people say, the general atmosphere, sometimes the atmosphere of council meetings, you know, the conduct isn't really great. Yeah, I also was wondering, just something to pose to councillors. I wonder if you could tie in working with young people with mock elections and things like that, because I feel like when schools have mock elections, that kind of highlights a lot of issues, and that's a good time to kind of take that and run with it, because a lot of schools do things to get people politically engaged. But I think that what you're talking about with, I've certainly experienced that in my community as well, with you know, elders who are just tired, but this is how you become exhausted, by not being taken seriously when you're trying so hard to be involved. And I think that political parties need to take responsibility for that, because, you know, your Black or Asian candidate isn't your token candidate to put in just a seat so you can say that you have one. And I go on about this all the time, but that's not really it. That's not acceptable, and it needs to be taken seriously. And just because we all could be doing better, just because the institution could be doing something, doesn't mean that political parties shouldn't be held to account for what they're doing too.
Absolutely. I definitely think that I agree with everything you said. I think, you know, with Sam saying, you know, youth and elders, we need to get out there. We need to be active. We can't just talk about these wonderful ideas and, you know, talk about these wonderful things happening, events or whatever, but actually we're not seeing the productivity.
I think with the events as well, like quite often, I don't know that they're happening. I don't know where they're being advertised, because I haven't seen them. And I'm, you know, I check my emails and signed up to mailing lists. I'm all over social media. I'm not sure where they're being advertised.
Yeah, everything Victor is saying, oh my goodness, why don't I know this? I want to move where he lives just so my son can.
Locally here, we have a website, the Town Council website, likewise the Borough Council, and everything is there. And we have a quarterly magazine called the Town Crier in Hertfordshire and Bournemouth that goes to every household to tell them what we are doing, tell them about organizations in the community and all those things. So the information is out there. Having said that, there are some people who are still complaining that they don't get enough information. So if we can do the magazine, make sure it gets to every household. And if they don't receive it, they should let us know. We will deliver it personally to them, just to make sure everybody knows what is happening. And the website, the councillors, we all have our phone numbers there. You can call us anytime. So that's what we do here anyway.
Did you pop the details on that? That in a minute, because everything, if anyone's doing any, you said about you're doing something in Royston, really would like you to elaborate on that as well. Councillor Sam Collins is doing something as well, and obviously Victor popped in, because it would really just aid the Black community as well with what you're doing. And also maybe some of your bits that you're doing in your own constituent can help others that are not, you know, doing anything. It would be great if those you know, in Letchworth maybe can take on some of those ideas to a young mayor or something in Letchworth, you know, that can go about and just get the young people involved, something where they felt involved. Yes, sorry, Tina. Actually, Mayor, who's the Kate? Sorry, I'm not really doing this well. Kate, who's
it's all right. Carol, do you want to speak before or after Tina's next point?
I think I had my hand up from before, so I'm all right.
Okay. Go ahead, Tina.
Okay, I just wanted to say another example of a really, really good and vibrant youth council would be in Stevenage. And that's quite a close and good example for us, I think, in terms of Letchworth. And I think that there's a lot to be said for it's similar to what you were saying before, but on you know, pushing people forward from our communities, because a lot of people of all ages and backgrounds have so much life experience, and I don't think that that's really necessarily factored in, because it's all kinds of things from, you know, kind of your background, like having caring responsibilities, where the skills are so transferable.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's next, Kate?
I didn't have anybody, so it's open floor.
Mayor Terry, are you next? Councillor Terry, you had your hand up.
I think
if that's okay. Yep. I just wanted to make a couple of comments, if I might. First of all, with regard to mayor and the mayoralty, is that in the mayor's role, any mayor is apolitical, because the mayor is actually the first citizen of any borough and represents the Queen at the various events. So it's absolutely appropriate that the mayor should be apolitical. What I've done, and it's been sort of stopped because of COVID, obviously, but in the first year of my mayoralty, I was visiting schools, a number of schools in the borough, and talking, and they were all primary schools, admittedly, and talking, and it followed a fairly sort of regular format, which was the first sort of 5 or 10 minutes I told people what I did and what the mayor did and the history of the chain and so on and so forth. And then I took questions, and I found that that was actually very much more productive, because you weren't.
Is there someone with their mic on? Sorry. Sorry, I just want to hear. Sorry. Yes, please carry on, Terry.
Sorry, that's okay. And I think that was far more beneficial, both for the children and for me, because I certainly wasn't taking any party political line, and it was really an information event. And I think the children actually enjoyed it, especially when I came to give out some pens from the mayor at the end of it. The other thing I was just going to mention is that it's interesting hearing what a number of colleagues have said in terms of engaging or getting people involved. I know that Hertfordshire had a youth parliament, and I don't know quite whether that is still running. I think a lot of things have been turned upside down because of COVID-19, but I know that there used to be elections every year to the youth parliament, and I would like to see, I would hope that would actually start again. Couple of facts, interesting, out of the 10 elected members of parliament in Hertfordshire, 2 of them are people of colour, so they're not all white. One is Bim Ofalami, who is probably about 38, 40, represents Hitchin and Harpenden. He's not.
Yeah.
Well, he's older.
Okay.
He's 33.
It's 33. Oh,
yeah.
Well, there you go then. Even better in that context. Thank you. The other one is Gagan Mahindra, representing Southwest Hearts. I'm not going to dare say what his age is, because I'll probably get it wrong. Okay. And then finally, in decorum, interestingly, out of 51 members, 7 members are people of colour. And that probably represents the.
When you say people of colour, do you mean black people, or do you mean people with just melanin?
Well, I'm really sorry. I'm taking that as people of whether they be Afro Caribbean, Caribbean, Asian. I'm always fearful of saying the wrong thing in case I offend anybody.
No, honestly, I completely understand. And I completely understand the description. We're just looking at specifically for black representation. And the reason why that is because of the statistics that affect specifically the black voice. And the reason why we're not going to be looking into terminologies like of colour, because it's a very general description of people of different races and different cultures, whereas we're having a more specific talk today.
And I didn't want to be in any way disrespectful to anybody.
Of course.
What I would on that basis, I can say we have three black councillors, one of whom was the mayor of Dacorum, I think 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, and what were their names? Sorry.
The previous mayor was Bola Adeleke, Cheryl Aguchi, and there's one other who I just can't put my name to at the moment. Sorry.
Okay, I know we had.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Unfortunately, one I heard of. Yes, I think there was quite a bit of a time gap in between those mayors.
No, only one has been a mayor.
Only one's been mayor. Okay.
Yeah, only
right.
Bola, and a very good mayor he was too.
Fantastic. Yes, we're just hoping that we can get the numbers a bit more than that to kind of you know, aid the Black community. Do you have any ideas about how we can do that?
It's very difficult. I think actually listening to a lot of what has been said, you have to sort of, if you like, make everybody welcome, and it doesn't matter what party or of no party indeed they subscribe to, but you have to make them welcome. You have to be able to support them. They also have to have, if they're going to get elected, some sort of support around them. Sorry, that's my phone going. So they have to have some sort of support going around them at the back.
Okay.
I think I'm going to have to go. Excuse me.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes,
thank you.
That's fine. Thank you.
Councillor Stania, I'm sorry, I keep saying your surname wrong. Carol.
Ania, it's fine. So just following on from what Councillor Douris said there, it made me realise that I've had a couple of conversations with people. I don't know if any of you are familiar with events that might have happened in Royston recently. Probably don't want to go into it, but I can explain offline for anybody who's interested. But basically, we ended up having a discussion at one of our town council meetings about, and it was about diversity as a whole, but really the motivation for it was partly the Black Lives Matter movement and things arising from that. So it was very much about Black people in the origin of it. And a lady came and spoke at that, and I had a long conversation with her beforehand about how she was frightened to speak because she had young children. She didn't want to put her head over the parapet, and she talked to others about this, and she was really uncertain about speaking. And I just wonder whether there's an element of fear in that, you know, you're putting yourself forward, and of course we all have a bit of that. But I don't know whether that's, and maybe it's a question for you guys more than it is actually something that I can contribute. But is there a I don't want to be the one that puts myself forward because I'm going to be the one that gets beaten up, or I'm going to be the one that's, you know, is that something that's present?
Can I just make a comment on that? Because I recently went for a role within the council, and I debated with myself several times about I was going to go forward for that role. It was an equality and diversity role, and the reason why I was skeptical about going forward for it is because I never see a Black face in that role ever. And so I just thought, if I try, will I get that position? And I even wondered whether or not I should mark my heritage. When you're filling out the equality form, I wondered if I should mark my heritage, because I thought, well, are they going to see, oh, it's a Black lady? No, we don't quite want a Black lady, but we do want an Asian person, or we do want a Greek person. I've never seen a Black face in an equality and diversity role, and that was a deterrent for me. So for me, that would be the answer to your question, is that I never see that face, that representation, and so I feel like there's no chance I'm gonna get that role.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's, yeah, it's more what we were talking about originally, isn't it? So I don't know whether this incident was a sort of a one-off thing that made her more afraid. It wasn't a violence sort of incident or anything like that, but it struck me that if one person's afraid and they come and speak up anyway, there are probably a lot of other people who are afraid who won't speak up.
Yeah, and I think is also that I think there's a general, I think I would even go as far as to say in the Black community, you're taught to just do your best, you know, just keep going for the majority of us. But when we hit the hurdles that you've just described, Carol and Davina, is a general consensus of, oh, just, you know, just leave that there and go try a different way. And I have been doing that, and for the most part I've had some success with my career. I've hit all the goals that I set. However, I know that others who trained on the same course as me have gotten more credits and have gone a lot farther, and I don't want to sound pompous or arrogant, but are less talented actually. And were the ones that weren't getting up. I mean, our course starts at 9. I used to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, walk 2 hours to town to practice in the morning. I was really one of those kids, and I was work 10 times as harder as the, you know, as my white and the other white students. And the ones that were lazying about, coming in late, getting drunk, you know, not getting I was getting distinctions on every one of my assignments, and they were only getting like pass and merit. And those are the ones that are there, you know, flying high. And I'm like, well, I'm just not going to bother. I'm just not going to bother in the end. You know, so that's how it's come to. And I've recently had a conversation with Victor recently, and I know it was only a short conversation, but, you know, he said, just be present. He said, don't give up. Your presence matters. And even if you think that you've tried and tried and tried, and you're so tired, you can't try anymore, you try again, and you keep trying and you keep trying. And that's, for me personally, it helped. His presence helped. You know, it helped me not to give up. Someone just saying that to me. And that's what we need. We need a platform like this where people like yourselves who are experienced can say, yes, there's only 2-3 of us. Keep going, firing. These are the first steps, and just give us encouragement with that, and so we can then create creations to encourage others coming up as well. Like with Tina, she's doing a lot of stuff with the youth, which I'd love to you know, partner on. Sam's doing some stuff, Victor's doing some stuff as well. It would be great if we can all learn from each other, so then we can use what we're doing to kind of engage the Black community and say, look, I know it's been decades that they've basically been saying to us that this space is not for us. We walk into a room and we could just feel the stench of, wow, we're not welcome here. But seeing faces like Sam Collins with his lovely afro, I mean, you have no idea, before that guy even opens his mouth, that for my son to see that in the paper and to see that that's a politician, yes, okay, it matters on the points of what they're going to do and stuff, but for me as a Black woman, I'm going to get teary-eyed now. For me as a Black woman to see that in a paper is just so great to see. And I just think that it's really important that we really take this seriously and make it our priority on our panels, and in our constituents, whatever we're doing, make it a priority to really focus on the importance of the Black voice, getting onto your panels in governors, MPs, councillors. Really look at it and not look at it as something that, you know, we're trying, we're having the conversation, but, you know, people are just not interested, and people, you know, okay, they're not interested, change the format, keep going. If it's that important to you, if you're hungry for it, feed yourself. You know, because when someone's starving, they don't just say I'm starving and they sit there, they go and they look for food. So if this is really important, if it's worth us spending our time, then we need to keep going. We can't just saying, oh, we're doing this and we're doing that and we're doing that, but you're not seeing, you know, the productivity of what we need to happen. So if the productivity is not happening, change the format, change what you're doing, speak to your colleagues. If you have to go outside of county, if you have to go outside of Britain, if you see something and that's working, you phone that person up. Look, we're trying to do this here. What are you doing that we're not doing? Can we implement it here? If it's that important, and change it. It's not just a conversation. I spoke with someone recently, Labour. I was invited to a Labour meeting, and I spoke to them about, you know, I had a conversation with my local councillors on the 17th of October with regards to this meeting, and we're here now talking about it. That's the type of action that needs to happen, not just a nice, lovely talk of lovely, bright people, and we smile and we think, yeah, that would be great, and then it fizzles out into space. It needs to actually turn into action. So I'd really encourage you guys, by the next time we meet, to just bring together some points and some actual campaigns that we can put together in one place, so the community can find it, and us in in the community groups can work on engaging the families, engaging the parents in the spaces that are doing these things. We've now found out Victor's doing great things, Sam's doing great things. I'm sure Helen's going to do, and is going to do fantastic things too. And Carol as well, so we can really just amplify what you're doing, because I have no idea. I've just heard so many great things today, and isn't it, Davina? We had no idea. The Black community need to know. We need to know what's happening, because we don't, and we need to find a way of that happening. Yes, sorry, Helen.
I'm mindful that I put my hand up then, but I think Val has had her little digital hand up for a really long time.
I can't see Val's digital hand, Val. I'm so sorry.
So sorry, Val.
In fact, it's been up so long, I've actually written it in the chat.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Val.
But in many ways, it's interesting. So when I was getting to the end of what I was writing, in fact, it was so similar to what you were saying. Oh, what I was thinking was so similar to what you were saying. What I've written might not be the same. But I think all the ideas are good. What concerns me is that a very, very small number will actually enjoy experiencing engagement. I mean, things like youth mayors, etc. We are talking about one person here, or a handful in the council, but they then provide the role models for more. Okay, I'm not too sure where the model goes after that, which is the important thing, because really we're talking about engagement for everyone, aren't we? We want this for all Black people, and basically we need to give them the facts. So for instance, you cannot be involved in a political system or decision-making system you don't know how it works. And this is why going to junior schools really helps, is to actually tell them the facts. How does it work? They can understand it. And the basic question is, how can I expect to get my say heard? And the emphasis is being expect as being normal. Or how can I expect for my talent to be recognised as being normal? That's what I have to say.
Yeah. Val, do you think it would be beneficial when at the primary school age for someone to go into schools, either someone who's not biased to any party, to go in and run some sort of day course or something for the kids, so they could know if they have if they have an opinion or want to campaign, how it's done, how things are done, and do you think that would help? Some
At
sort
the moment, it's not going to happen this year. I'm a teacher, and
No.
it will not happen this year.
Yeah.
But what we could do is prepare the materials.
Okay.
To go into schools.
Okay.
For the teachers.
As in physical materials.
Yes, videos, etc. And
do you
then
think that would be engaging enough for them?
This year, that is all you're going to get.
True. Yeah. True. Yeah. Sorry, someone said something. Was it Victor? Or
Yeah, I think I raised my hands up about just what the last speaker is saying, and how do you engage the school children. In the school that I'm a governor, they have what they call the eco group about making sure that the school follow their green project. And they do election there to encourage them to elect the officers, which they do. And every year, we arrange for them to go and have a day with the mayor. They can ask the mayor any question they want, the borough mayor. And they will spend, they get refreshment and all those things so that they know how the system works. So all this is we are doing to encourage the younger ones to get involved. Yeah. And the borough mayor too do a sort of competition every year where the primary schools here to design Christmas cards. And the winner get present, and one of them will be chosen, and that is the mayor's Christmas card for that year to send to all these contacts and all that. So we are trying to get the children involved in politics in the Hertfordshire and the Hertfordshire and Bournemouth. Another thing is in terms of creating that what do you call it? Somebody for them to look up, especially the black kids. There are many books out there that probably the school can put it in their school library, in their curriculum, or parents can buy it and read it to the children or give it to them to read, those who can read. That will, with that book and that knowledge, they know that there's some black people out there that they are achieving against every odds. And a word of advice I would like to add is, in politics, you work with groups. So while we are talking about the black community, we remember that we have to work with other groups to succeed. And in terms of voting and election, not only the blacks will vote for you, because depending on where you're living, if the blacks vote for you, you're not going anywhere. So you have to work with other groups and carry them along. So and they would also carry you along with them. In Hertfordshire here.
I think, Victor, don't you think that goes for anybody in politics, whether you're white or black?
Exactly. So in Hertfordshire here, I don't know if you're up to 2% blacks. So can you imagine in election, those 2%, they have their different parties also. So they're not going to vote for you because you're a black or something like that. So while we are looking at focusing on blacks and trying to pull ourselves up to be in the system, we have to work with other groups to be there. We need support of every other group to be there. So that's what we have to bear in mind.
Excellent, excellent, yes. We just have to engage the black people to be in a position so they can look at other groups. That's what we have to do now.
And there's a lot to learn from other groups too. How do they get there?
Yeah.
If the Indians are doing well, how do they get there?
Yeah.
The Pakistan side too. So all those things, we have to learn from others to, work. And that is why when I was mayor 2 years ago for the town, my wife and myself, there's this diversity event we created every October just to bring the diverse community local here to come together to celebrate and know each other. So I think that is very important in a community. Even on Sunday, we'll be doing a virtual event on YouTube. So those communities now, we know you as a black person. They know that you are there. They know they've spoken with you. They've done things with you socially and all that. So when you come knocking on the door, they say, "Oh, how?" They will recognize you. So that is what I'm saying. Work with other groups. That will be, we achieve more doing that than just working on blacks or focusing on blacks and blacks and blacks.
Okay. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we have some hands up for questions. Amy.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was just gonna, because we were talking about actions, as soon as I thought of it, then someone said about actually making materials, which obviously is an action. But I was thinking about once we actually get, you know, more Black people into the leadership positions, you know, our overarching goal, are there policies in place currently? I'm 60, I don't know how councils work. So just a side note, are there policies in place that are actually going to protect them from, you know, discrimination, racism, unequal opportunities? Because we can't just send people into a field with, you know, no protection.
Helen is giving us a strong no there.
I keep putting my hand up and putting it down because I'm a bit scared to say this. But as a woman, when someone says to me, it's okay, you actually did have to be more perfect then because you're a woman. You actually were criticised really hard then. They said you got a bit shouty and shrill because you're a woman. That really helps me. So I kind of feel like when I'm going out to try and engage people, Black people, and come into politics, I want to tell the truth and say, oh no, you will certainly have to be better. You will certainly stick out and gather more scrutiny. You absolutely will face racism. And you can tell me what to do to help you with that. But I really feel like it's an important truth to say, there are some policies, there are lots of good intentions, but will you face way more criticism and have to be way more perfect than the white men? Yes, you will. I hate that I had to say that, but it was burning a hole in my conscience.
I'm so glad you did. I'm so glad you did. We have to find brave ones, but I think some of them are giving up, especially in our older community. I know in Letchworth and Hitchin, we have a lot of in our senior community, in the Black community, that I think would be fantastic in politics, but they're like, no man, they don't want me there. But you sit down with them and they will say to you, you know, talk to you about all different things, you know, and have different ideas about, you know, you know, I just don't. We have Sam. I know Sam. We always mention Sam. He's mentioned in every meeting I go to. You have Sam Collins. I'm like, Sam can't help for the whole. There's how many. He can't be the only one for the entire Black community. There has to be. He can't do it on his own. There has to be others. You know, best he can. But he's only one man. You know, so there has to be. There has to be more. And you know. We have to get more. I know we're basically saying to people to come into an institution that's basically, you know, probably going to try and fit them out, but this is what's kind of required. And I think if we all remind our colleagues that they have a responsibility not to buy into that institutionalized racism, and where they see it, they have a responsibility to change it, including their minds as well as what's on paper. I think if we work together on that, I think that there will be change, and the process of allowing Black people into that into these avenues won't be so difficult. What do you think?
You've got Sam still.
I was going to say, I think I've seen Tina's got her hand up electronically. Sam's had his hand up a couple of times. And I think, Davina, you wanted to say something as well. So I'll let the three of you decide who goes first.
I think on that one, it would be a good point for me to jump in here. Just a few points. That's one point Victor made about having to work with other groups. I think that's absolutely essential because, you know, the Black community in Hertfordshire isn't huge, frankly. So we're going to have to work with other groups to make it work. And that's essential. In terms of visibility and me being the only one in the village, so to speak, yeah, it would be lovely to have more Black people involved in local politics. But one thing you have to remember, politics is a hostile environment and always will be. That's the way democracy works. People, my colleagues, are actively working against Mayor Terry. They want to vote him out in May. Some of our other colleagues will want to vote me out. Well, I'm not up for election this year, but you know, next year. But we're all working against each other, and that's the way party politics works. That's just the reality of it. Even when you're elected, there's people trying to work to beat you. I'm currently trying to get rid of a black MP in Hitchin and Harpenden to replace them with another black MP, me. But that, that is the way politics works. But I've actually wanted to come back on that point. I wanted to come up with a question, because you're saying, we're lacking these black voices in North Hertfordshire. So, Michaela, Davina, why are you not doing it? What's stopping you from standing for election?
Oh, you threw us in there, Sam.
Davina, you go first. I've asked Davina. Davina, you go.
For me, okay, so my passion isn't politics, and that might be because I don't know enough about it. My passion is bringing the communities together in our social groups, in our education groups. That's where my passion would be. It wouldn't necessarily be politics. I mean, the more I learn about it, I might go that way, but I don't know enough about it.
You sound perfect for it, because that's basically what it is. That's your job, particularly at local council level. That is the job.
I will look into it, Sam. You might have me knocking at your door soon.
So the reason there's reasons. At first, reason was I had to go to Eton, and then Helen said, no, you don't have to go to Eton to be a councillor. You just be like, it's great. Do that kind of mental change, and then things started to happening more with my son, and I realized that I really want to get about law. So I applied to study law, and now I'm doing my master's in law. And now law is taking up so much time right now. Issues to be solved and resolution to happen. So I don't I'll say this, I'm scared. That's what I'm scared of it. I'll be honest. I'm me just being honest. I'm scared. And that's why I'm just scared, because when I see they look smiley because they're smiling at me, but like when I watch people on television and watch how they behave, and I think I would be able to keep my mouth closed. A speech I saw recently said by black female, which I saw other black females around sitting, and they were like crossing their ankles, they were folding, they were fidgeting. I said, nah, I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't think maybe I'm politically correct enough for it. I think I maybe need some training.
We need some more people.
How often do you see them politically correct?
We need that.
That's my point. You both sound brilliantly qualified, and actually the training's available. The political parties have loads of training available for people to get involved. I get training all the time on all sorts of different things. So, if you don't worry about not keeping your mouth shut. I never do. Everybody else in the council knows. I'm not very good at keeping my mouth shut, and I will carry on, because again, that's politics. You're not expected to keep your mouth shut. You have that voice, and you should use it. It's a really great opportunity. So when you have the time, it does take time.
Yes.
Consider it. But also, don't worry about being scared, because when you're standing in a freezing cold doorstep in January or something in a slightly rough part of town, and you're knocking on a door and you're a bit worried, not everybody's going to be your friend. Some people are going to be a little bit unpleasant to, a little bit hostile to you. But frankly, you're a black woman in Hertfordshire. You get that anyway.
I think that is life. I mean, even people will be hostile to you, especially people of probably the opposite party or something like that. They're hostile to you, and that is life. But if that is what you want to do, you have to jump into it. We're all scared, and it doesn't get any easier, depending on your opponent, depending on the next resident you meet and their issues. So it happens every day. In terms of training, trainings are there, but you have to be there to be part of the training you receive. So if that's what you want to do, why not go into it? In most cases, the job of the councillor is in the committees that you have to work hard. what you see in the debate in the councils is a sort of a summary of what has happened over a month or 2 months. So the committees are really where the work is. And then you can express yourself till tomorrow and, try to get things done from that area. So go for it if that's what you want to do.
Can I just jump in?
Sam North had his hand up for a while.
Sam North.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to completely agree with what Sam was saying. I think if you are going as far as you are, inviting all of us to a meeting like this and bringing us all together to work out how to solve problems and issues within society, then you're going over and above what the vast majority of the councillors that I work with do anyway. So I think you would be sort of perfectly positioned. I think the only other thing that I did want to say, and perhaps I shouldn't say this, but I will do, is the real people who are leaders within the council are the officers. And I think when we have a look at a lot of the positions within sort of civil service and within local council and local government, again, that representation just isn't there, just as it's not in there in sort of the large FTSE 100 sort of boardrooms. And I think that as leaders, again, that is something that we can do pretty much immediately. We can start asking our HR teams. Everyone on this call should be asking their HR teams, why on earth is this not being made as more of a priority? I know that there's been discussions on sort of pay gaps and things like that with gender, but again, it's not necessarily being taken through to other areas where it should be. And I just think that leader in the council sense, even if you didn't want to become a councillor, there are other leadership roles that you have and can have within your community. And Davina obviously mentioned earlier that she was going to go for a role. But as a local authority, to have someone feel uncomfortable about applying for a job for their local council really does sort of shout numbers about exactly where we are at the moment. The last thing that I did just want to mention as well, and this sort of comes to what I do in my sort of professional life as a project manager and sort of within security and transformation, is what I do really want to see is some real substantial things coming out of what we're doing, because I think you set this up and it's absolutely fantastic that you are bringing us all and getting us all involved in this. But I think that everyone on this call has a responsibility to go away and actually do things about it. And I think what I would like to do and what I would like to see is goals being set and actually defining what we want to get out of it, because it's all well and good saying we want more Black people elected, but what are the actual goals that we're going to set in order to get there? Is it we will go away to our respective political parties and say we expect that there will be 25% Black people on the ballot papers in target seats, or are we going to? But I do think that we need to set goals both individually and from sort of a group to actually work towards that transformation, as it were, of ensuring this is actually doing what we're setting it out to do.
Nail on the head, Sam. Yes. Who's next? Is it Tina? Yes, Tina.
Yes. So we're talking about positions of power and standing for council, but what I want to raise is come work with us in the charity sector and become a trustee, because that's another way of really being able to impact your community and having a kind of, so the board I'm on, I get a really good overview of a lot of things that are happening right the way across the county. And, you know, I've had a chance to lead on projects, create my own project, work with staff, community groups. There's a lot going on there that I think is really, really important. And what's more is I get to be involved with organisations that have helped me throughout my life as well. And so it's a really nice way of giving back to the community. And with that in mind, I'd really like to invite you to speak to the chair of our board, we're currently working on a project essentially to get more young people, to get more Black people, to get more women involved in the charity sector across the county, in mainly in trusteeship roles. But we've noticed that a lot of these people, especially during the pandemic, they have come forward in volunteering roles. It's about transitioning them from, you know, the volunteer role to becoming a trustee and taking a position of leadership, because there are so many leaders in our community.
It would be good to have a list of what these leaders are. And so people know, okay, because when I think of leaders, we just know the main C, councillors, MPs, Prime Minister, you know, Sam said that, you know, there's so many others. It would be good to have a list of those. Whatever we need to have an action. Can't just be a conversation. It would be great if those in Letchworth can devise some sort of plan for Letchworth to engage those. I've spoken to some parents and they've said, oh, you won't get anything from Highfield. They don't want to do nothing. And I refuse to believe that, because when I speak to those kids, even little kids, they've got an opinion about everything. You know, you get them engaged about Roblox and Minecraft, they will debate. They will debate. It's just about engaging them in the correct way and showing them, you know, that what actually they're talking about is actually politics, you know, about, you know, who came first and who had the most money and who did this and who did that. When you pull away the names, the Roblox, the Minecraft, and you just put, you know, Labour or Conservative or Green Party, and they're basically having a debate. And these are like 7-8-year-olds, and they're talking with their legs up on their knee, as I think it's just about getting kids engaged, really. But yes, I do believe.
I think Mayor Terry,
we all
Douris
need
has had his
to.
hand. Oh, sorry, Michaela.
Yes. No,
my internet's breaking
Mayor
up.
Terry, he's got his hand up.
Oh, thank you. I'm reminded that there's an MP who was constantly complaining that things didn't get done. And his wife said, well, if you're always complaining about things getting not done and nobody listening to you, just get up and go and do something and put your money where your mouth is, or put your body where you want it to be. So there is that ideal. I'm also hopefully not going to be too provocative if I say that Black members or Black councillors are not the preserve of any one party. And so there will be different people in different parties. And with the very best will in the world, I think the majority of the folks here this evening represent one party. So I think if you want to, or majority, no, all right. But if you want to get your message across, then you need to make sure that you engage with all the parties and independents as well. So
sorry, I don't want to
no,
I do want to interrupt actually, Terry. When Michaela invited the councillors to the meeting, she was at a surgery and all of the parties were very much invited to that. It's just that they weren't all present. And then they haven't all arrived in this room today.
Okay, well, I can only go by what I'm seeing. So
I invited Bim. Sorry, am I saying his name correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I invited Bim because I would love him to be here. He should be here, actually. And this is probably, again, politically not very correct. I'm insulted that he isn't as a Black man, as a Black woman. Sorry. So I think he should be here. And I invited MP for Letchworth. Oh gosh,
Oliver Heald.
Oliver Heald.
Yeah.
He couldn't be here either. I know people are busy. I know it's not all about me. But it would be great if he can come to one of these meetings and we can hear that, because I was saying to the team before we start that, you know, I don't want BVL to be this place where we're just gearing someone, you know, and gearing people in a certain way. Black people have, you know, the Conservatives, they're Green Party, they're people who don't believe in any party, you know, they're people. And we just want to create a platform where they feel comfortable, where their views can be heard. So absolutely, I would love to go and speak to, I was invited to Labour. If Conservatives invite me in that space, I will feel comfortable to come and speak to you guys about what we're doing. So I would love to get an invitation from the Conservative Party to come and talk at one of your meetings. I would love that, and I extend that to you. So I would leave that with you to invite. I'll put if you can put our email in the chat, so you have our email. But I would love to come and talk to the Conservative Party and Lib Dem as well.
Just to counter that point, I just did a quick counter. Actually, there is a majority in this Zoom call. It's a Lib Dem majority, which I don't think you were thinking of, Terry. There's 3 Lib Dem councillors, 1 Labour councillor, 1 Labour candidate, and 1 Conservative mayor. So it's a balance we quite like in the Liberal Democrats here. So
okay, Terry, I didn't do that on purpose. Terry, I didn't do that on purpose. No, I literally invited everyone in Hertfordshire, and this is what I got.
Okay, well, you got me, so
yes,
at least you can say that I engaged.
Yes.
Can I just make one point before I get shot down by Helen at all, because I wasn't meaning any offence. But just to say to Sam Collins, politics can get very febrile, and it can get quite unpleasant from time to time. But I think the words of Joe Cox are words that sit very firmly in my mind, which is that there is more that unites us than divides us. And I think the vast majority of people, whether they be parish councillors, town councillors, borough councillors, county councillors, or even members of parliament, although they're in a slightly different position, they are all there for the benefit of the people that they serve, or at least they should be, because if they're there for their own personal gains, then they're not there for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm. Right. Good point, Terry. Yeah, very good point. So I do hope to get an invitation from the Conservative Party to come and talk.
I will make sure that you're it's passed
But
on.
I mentioned. Thank you. Appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. And Sam, if you have any contacts, I'd love to go and speak to Lib Dem as well.
You're welcome. We don't meet so much on county lines, more local lines, but you're welcome to come and join our North Herts one. I can't remember our next meeting, but yeah, you'd be welcome to come and have a chat. We're always, you know, we're open to everybody.
Yeah, fantastic. We don't have any other party, so I'm not being. I don't think anyone here is.
I'll give you the Green Party details as well. They're good friends of mine.
Okay, brilliant. Yes, thank you very much, because that would be great, because we do have a lot of young. So I know that they would like to kind of hear what our response was when we approached hazing. So should we go through actions with everybody now to do after this by next meeting?
Yeah.
So I've been taking some notes. They're rather longer than I anticipated because discussion's been very interesting. But there is a couple of actions that I've picked up, which I have pulled out, initially quite straightforward, and there might be some additional actions that the group might like to set. So first on the list, I've got for all the councillors who came this evening to share information with Black Voice Letchworth and Hearts Black Diaspora about their political programmes, specifically that are engaging with the youth, and then for us to go on and share that with the communities through our platforms and Facebook groups and things.
Can we add to that also share? Can we add to that also share with everyone in the group as well, the other councillors, so they all know, because they have their hubs and their other things as well. But so they can
could you clarify on that what you mean by programmes for youth regarding the political parties? Because I thought the discussion was about the councils rather than the political parties.
Oh,
But
sorry. Yes.
I'm a bit confused. That's all.
So anything that is politically related for youth, so town council, youth parliament, etc., etc. Anything that you guys have mentioned this evening that is politically related and there for young people to engage with.
Yeah. Or anything that's leadership, because not everything is political with leadership, isn't it? Even if you wanted to be a mayor, I don't know, Helen, you could speak to the heritage maybe of doing a young mayor or something. That would be great, you know, for the town to get excited about.
Have you had? I know that someone was taking a bit of a lead on it. Have you had information from Simon on what on the next steps they're taking, or do I need to chase that up for you at the Heritage Foundation?
Please chase it up. I know they're trying. I was expecting him to be here today, but I know he's very busy. But yes, could you please chase that up, please?
I can.
I don't want him to feel like he's on his own.
No probs.
Thank you. Yes, sorry, Kate.
All right. I've noted that down, although I'm not quite sure what it is, so I'll clarify with Michaela what that action was at the end. I had a note about videos and physical materials going out to schools. So I don't know what that exactly would look like, or who is best to take that forward, whether that needs to be
wasn't that councillor, is it Val? Trying to find out who suggested.
I can hunt through my minutes later if we think it's somebody who's left.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I've got here is that invitations to Michaela and Davina to speak at Lib Dem and Conservative meetings, and for Sam Collins to pass on the Green Party contact details. Those were the main actions that I had. I think there was some other things that came out. The other thing that really stood out was the need perhaps for every person sitting in this group this evening, those of us who are still here and those who have left, to go away and think about what are the actions that each of us can take and how we can kind of each take one smart objective that maybe we can bring to the next meeting of how we want to make change for the Black community, and then we can bring that and then to the next meeting, and then we can support each other hopefully to achieve those smart targets.
If we can work on it being an idea, so it's, if we can hear, yes, there'll be actions to that, but if we can hear an idea, an actual project that, you know, that's what we want, really, an actual thing that we can, you know, you're working towards, that we can all help each other and promote and amplify everywhere. That's what some of you guys are already doing stuff already. Those of you that are, if we can find out the specific details of that and find out how we could, you know, aid each other with that, that'd be great.
Could I just ask a very brief question? I responded to this event through email that I received from you. I think everyone on the screen, apart from Terry, are sort of North Hart centric. So it's obviously very kind of Terry to come along tonight and sort of impart sort of his views and thoughts with us. But clearly a part of this is Black Voice Hertfordshire. Now, I think that tonight has been incredibly good with the number of people that we have on the call, but inevitably we want to attract more people. But obviously more people will lead to perhaps more difficulty in organising things. So I do think that one thing that I would like focus to be put on is ensuring we build the number of people who are involved in these conversations in a sustainable way, so that we're still able to have meetings that are as productive as has been tonight. and I don't know whether there's, I think the question was, are there similar meetings happening in different areas of Hertfordshire, or is this the sort of the Letchworth centric one and there are other ones, or is this the Hertfordshire wide one?
This is Hertfordshire wide. I invited everyone I knew, you know, with my little, you know, time I had, all the councillors in Hertfordshire, it's Hertfordshire wide. So I invited Broxbourne. No one from Broxbourne came. Sad face.
All right, can I just interject?
Yes.
Nobody from Broxbourne replied.
No, I invited our whole crowd. No one.
You do know the deputy mayor of Broxbourne's a friend of the family's.
Whoops.
Really? Who?
Paul Seaby. That's I asked it in the chat room just a minute ago.
Oh. Yeah.
He was a friend of my dad's, so it might be worth asking him.
I'm curious. Did you ask the MP for St Albans or anyone from St Albans Lib Dems?
No, I got the link. The link was sent by Lee Ellis, who works for the council, and she told me
Hertfordshire. That's just North Herts. That's not Hertfordshire. That's North Hertfordshire. So that's.
I need the link. Please, may I have the link to everyone in Hertfordshire, so they can. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, go on. No, I was just saying we did discuss earlier that we were gonna, you know, get it out, publicize a lot more so that we can have a bigger reach. So that was a plan that was spoken about earlier.
Yeah.
But it would be great if we could have direct contacts with people.
If there's anyone that we've missed, we'll miss them again. So please send all the links. Anyone who you think should be here that wasn't here. I'm going to message MP Oliver and Bim again. And I'll keep messaging them every month. I don't mind. I've got nothing better to do. See what happens.
Yeah, so just to reassure the councillors.
Terry, you're going to help me.
Why only those two?
Sorry?
Why only those two?
It could be, well, there's only those two because where I live in Letchworth, that's the only ones I know to mind.
Michaela, just to give you a bit of info, Hertfordshire has 10 MPs.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has 79 county councillors, and I would not hazard a guess at how many district and borough and town councillors, but that's in the hundreds.
I think it's over 1,000.
Yeah, it could be.
Good. They all need to be emailed. They all need to be part of this conversation. I don't know what that Zoom's going to look like, but hey, I don't want anyone to say that I never got an email. So if anyone can, Kate, if you can put our email in the
I'll put our email in the minutes.
Yes.
I'll also I'll put one of my actions to do some work is digging around as to who the contacts are that we should be sending information to. And I also wanted to tell the councillors. Oh, Amy's got her hand up. Amy, do you want to say something about the marketing?
I was just going to say that I can do because there's so many. I can help you with the emails. Just email the MPs for you.
Yeah, you're going. Yeah, because I've got studying.
And we have got plans to contact press as well, to increase members of the actual community coming to these meetings from the Black community specifically. So that is also on our actions before the next meeting.
Yeah, it's just the first one, but everything you're saying, we're going for them. Don't you worry, we'll get them. We just we'll get there. So now we know how many councillors for Hertfordshire?
78.
78. We need to get all of them. And then what you said after that, it's how many, Terry? There's some sub. Or...
Oh, I think there's about 1,500 councillors in district boroughs, town and parish councils. Huge number.
Yep, that's fine.
If you wanted to engage with the town and parish councils, if you send a note to the Hertfordshire Association of Parish and Town Councils, which is based in Kimpton, they might push it out on one of their newsletters, something like that.
Okay, Kate, did you get that?
Yes, I've got the details for them. I can send you that.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, that's fine. 1078 1500. Good. That's fine.
I'll see if I can get you. I'll see if I can get you a central address for Hertfordshire County Council councillors as well.
Okay. Wonderful. And Helen, you're going to handle the heritage. Thank you. Right. If there's any other organisation we've forgotten, please email if you remember later. Yeah, get them all. That's fine.
I've
okay,
just
guys.
emailed you.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, we are done for today. I hope you found this productive. Our next meeting will be next month on the last Friday of November. You will all be emailed again. The minutes, which will be sent by the lovely Kate Roberts. Did you show your face, Kate, today? Kate, you there?
I didn't show my face because I haven't washed my hair.
Oh, never mind. Never mind.
Fair point.
That is the truth.
But I will show my face at the next meeting so you can all see what I look like.
Okay, brilliant. That's fine. I hope you guys have found today productive. I hope by the following meeting we'll all to bring forward our actions, our campaigns, what we're doing from today's content of the meeting. Davina, do you want to say anything?
It was just that I think it was Victor that mentions that things were being advertised and people need to, I guess, access those. I think one of the most important things is that we need to engage with people where they are and not expect them to come and find us. For me, that's one of the biggest things I need to say. We need to engage where they are. We need to go and find where they are. So I think I'm just going to leave you guys with that.
Yes. Yes, I don't think a lot of the councillors or people in leadership, because of their experience of social networking is different to a Black person's experience. I don't think they're going in the right areas, and I think the areas they think that they probably will get more hits, as it were, in inverted commas, they probably don't feel comfortable going in. Like, for example, a Black barbershop or Black dressers, hello, I'm from Labour, it's kind of, oh, hi, and they're polite, but you just don't feel comfortable. So hopefully with working together with groups like ours, it will create a platform where we can make you feel more comfortable doing those things, or we can work
in
with,
the noughties. I used to recruit foster carers and adopters for Ealing Council, and I was literally required to go into places like African and Caribbean beauty shops and things. Like I'm a little white lady here to talk to you about adoption. It was incredibly awkward.
So Helen, so what you're saying is there's no excuse. That's what you're saying.
It was, to be fair, my job, and therefore I felt like I ought to be there. But as I said to you when you came to the surgery, I really like to be invited into Black spaces as a white person. Otherwise, I feel like I'm exercising my privilege.
Yeah, I understand. Yes. So anything anyone else wants to add? Okay, brilliant. Right, well, we will see you next month, guys, and thank you so much for coming.
Can I just say
yes,
thank you very much. This was very exciting, and I'm heartened by the everybody's contribution, and I'm looking forward for the next one. Thank you, Michaela.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for coming. Wonderful. Okay, guys. Well, see you soon.